Hey there, mama friend, and welcome to the 5-Minute Mom podcast, where we'll talk about real life, real faith, real fast. For today's show notes or to get free Monday Mom devotionals, visit audrahaney.com. Well, welcome back to the podcast, friends. We have a snow day today, so I'm going to do something a little different from my regular monologue. I have no idea how this is going to go, but I have a special guest with me home today, my husband, Corey. Welcome to the show, honey, and my fancy studio.
It's good to be here. This is my first time invited to your podcast.
To the floor of my closet. It's a very special day. So this may be longer than 5 minutes today, so thank you so much for indulging us, but I'm really excited about today's topic. We are very quick to say that even though I have a podcast for parents and speak on parenting often, that we are far from experts. We are just parents in the trenches like you, are seeking and growing and sharing what we learn as we go. But today we were talking last night and we decided that we wanted to share some of the spiritual parenting advice that we got early on that we're so grateful for now that Nora's 5 years old and about to start kindergarten. There seems to be a lot of advice for feeding and sleeping and dealing kind of with surface behaviors, but not a lot out there for the spiritual development of our child. So we wanted to share some things that have helped us shepherd our children spiritually. So Corey, I want you to go first. What was some of the best advice that you were given early on?
Yeah, I'm not sure who exactly told us this, but I think one of the biggest pieces is that children are a book to be read, not written. And certainly as parents, we want to instill principles in our children, and we want to love them and shepherd them and address and correct certain behaviors. But they are born in the image of God, and they have different personalities. And so really tapping into that and parenting their personalities and trying to help reinforce the unique gifts that God's given them.
You're really good. I should have you on the podcast
more
often. Well, my biggest piece of advice that I was given comes from James 1:5, and I've shared this on the podcast before, but especially the day and age that we're living in, it's so easy to be overwhelmed with information about here's the way to do it, here's the way not to do it, and you can get completely paralyzed by that. But James 1:5 says, "If anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives to all liberally, and it will be given to him generously and ungrudgingly if you ask in faith." And so I just started praying as a parent about every little thing. God, you made my child, you made me. What wisdom do I need for the situation? And I've seen God show up on big things, little things, everything in between. And so I tell all new parents, just pray for specific wisdom for your child.
Yeah, I think another great piece of advice as a pastor, certainly the children's ministry in your church, if you go to church, is important. And they are there to partner with parents and to invest biblical truth into your child's life, but not to let them do all the work. They are there to supplement in addition to what you're doing at home. And the biggest learning experience, your child's connection with Christ, will first be learned in the home. And so really just letting that sink in and then making sure every day that we're trying to live that out. We don't do that well every day, but just being intentional in those moments.
Some of the best advice I got as a new mom, too, was that my child is capable of understanding deep spiritual things from early on. And I learned that from one of my mentors, Callie Grant at Graham Blanchard, when I was working there. And she says that children are primed and ready to know God from the very beginning. So I think we started talking with Nora about spiritual things from day one. We talked about the cross. We talked about things that may seem way over her head, but as she's grown into a beautiful little girl, she really knows about spiritual things and the spiritual element of this world now.
Yeah, that's really good information. I remember growing up, my dad used to say, "Don't do as I do, do as I say." And he would say that in a joking manner. But the truth is, kids will most often do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You can say whatever you want to say, whatever you want to instill in them, but they mimic your actions and when they see you doing things. And so one thing that I feel like our kids have responded to when we've done this is anytime we are having quiet times or talking about just biblical truths or serving people or just life in general, inviting them into that conversation and allowing them to be a part of it. And oftentimes with Nora, she has guided that for us and kind of helped spark things in my life where maybe I wasn't doing it. And so really just letting your kids be a part of those biblical truths.
I'll close with this one. Someone told me that you are training yourself, not your child, in those early days. So practically parent for tomorrow and not today. And what they were saying is start spiritual disciplines early on with your child so that it becomes a normal part of your family life. So it felt really silly when we got home from the hospital and we had the Jesus Storybook Bible and Nora was about 3 days old, and we kind of propped her up and started turning the pages and reading those stories. But now that she's 5, story time and quiet time and praying and talking about Jesus is a normal part of her everyday life. And it's not always easy still. Like we tried to do Advent this year, and that was a disaster every night. But we know that because we saw it all the way through to Christmas morning, that will be easier to implement next year, and it'll be something that our children come to expect. Praying around the dinner table, Lydia's 2 years old, and now knows that that's what we do as a family, and she loves to be the one to pray now. And so parent for tomorrow and not for today. It may not be convenient or easy to do those spiritual things right now, but it will be so worth it as they begin to grow and develop. I just kind of want to close with this scripture from Deuteronomy 6. And it says, you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and you must commit yourself wholeheartedly to these commands that I'm giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you're at home and when you're on the road and when you're going to bed and when you're getting up. Tie them on your hands and wear them on your forehead as reminders. Write them on the doorposts of your house and your gates. That's a great, great spiritual command from God. And I think that just means we're walking with Him every day and including Him in everything we're doing with our family.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
I love having you on. You
Hopefully
should join
I'll
us
be
more
able to
often.
come. I would love that.
The 5-minute dad.
I don't know if that would go well, but I'll be a guest anytime.
So that's the end of our 5 minutes. Please tune in again soon. If you want to learn more about me or sign up for the podcast newsletter or get a free devotional, visit audrahaney.com. And if you enjoyed this, would you please leave a quick review? Reviews are so important for podcasters, and it helps more moms find us, and it would be a great blessing.